I recently did a recording on Clubhouse, and the topic of the conversation was allowing growth and just talking a little bit about how our fear of failure, fear of success, and operating outside of our capacity can really get in the way of allowing growth in our lives, professionally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things, mind, body, and soul. What I thought about within that conversation, though, is one of the ways that we can sabotage in a very sophisticated fashion. So, when I think of survival mode is oftentimes something that is very prone to homeostasis, right? Even when we want to grow and change, sometimes it can feel nearly impossible. It's not, but it can feel that way. Because when we're in survival mode, it's really about as little transition and change as possible. Even when we want things to be different, there's a part of our system that really just thinks, at least we know what it's like here, right? So, one of the things that I wanted to mention tonight was when we find ourselves only doing work, only attending to our mental health, only doing our spiritual practices and our soul work when we are struggling, then a part of what we're doing is maintaining survival mode. So, think about it this way. If I'm walking on the ground, and all of a sudden something happens, life happens, maybe my own personal decisions happen, but I find myself in a hole. And it's within that hole that I reach out for help. It's within that hole that I go to therapy, or I talk to my, a spiritual coach or a pastor. It's within that hole that I look at self-help books or do research on how to grow and improve and achieve and whatever the thing is, however you engage in your soul work. And when you fall in that hole, you do that work, you come out of that hole, and then you just kind of start walking again because everything's fine. Everything's okay. Maybe even everything went back to being pretty good, right? But what you're doing is you did all of that work to begin walking on the same level of ground that you were on before the struggle bus. There's nothing wrong with that. And it is to say that a consistent practice of soul work, a consistent practice of taking care of yourself, mental health wise, financially, environmentally, physically, all the ways, the practices of attending to your mind, body, and soul are most helpful when you're doing okay. It's most helpful when things are fine. It's necessary when you're in that hole. But a part of what I want to encourage folks to do, and a part of what our desire to thrive calls for us to do, is to do work when things are okay. To do your work when things are fine. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Those are actually the times that folks have the biggest transformations.